Right now, you can find me. I do a Saturday and Sunday live every Saturday and Sunday at North Dakota Carnivore on YouTube, and I'm actually streaming my live right now because I come on right after you at right now. And I just want to share what's helped me. If I can reach and touch one person and change their life for the better by doing this, then it's worth it to me. And I also want to say that I am a newly certified kill health coach. I just got this week, so I'm also out there doing this. I am live right now. So at North Dakota Carnivore. All right. All right. So that was interesting. Just finished my live. Dr. Kills threw up the link this morning, uh, invited anybody on, and I decided to jump on and talk with him for a little bit this morning. I've looked at this so many times doing this, so I finally just said, what the heck? I might as well do it. And I was actually supposed to be on Dr. Kilt's channel in the morning meeting. Probably it was right at the time when they switched from when they were doing it at what time was it? When they switched from 5 a.m. Eastern to 6 a.m. Eastern. I was supposed to be right at that switch time, but they interfered with my work and going to work at the time, so I never did get to go on to it. So on Sunday mornings, he's been throwing the link up there for StreamYard, so I decided to go ahead and try that this morning and jump on with Dr. Kiltz and Rick and Kelly and George and had a great conversation there. It's a lot of fun doing stuff like this. Something I would have never done ever before. But in the meantime, that means I didn't get my I did not get my show preps done that I normally do before I come in here and talk to y'all. So that did happen. With that being said, good morning. It's a beautiful Sunday morning here. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what I have open and what I don't have open on my screens because sometimes I leave stuff open and it affects how everything works in here. Well, we got Uncle Willie in here. We have Charlie in here. That's awesome. You did get notifications on YouTube and Rebel. I don't know why. I did that. It was the other day when Larry went live on Carnivore Quest. It was about halfway through the show that I got notified that he was live. And then there was another live that I had actually went on there and said, notify me when they go live. And it was like 2.5 hours, 3 hours later where I got the notification that they were live. It's just, YouTube is terrible for that. Hey, good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Uncle Willie. And then we have Uncle Charlie on a 2-day fast. Now, are you just doing a water fast, Uncle Charlie, or are you doing something else on that, or what's going on? And how often do you fast? Yeah, and I was just on Dr. Kiltz. I'm running a little bit backwards on this here, and then Bryce Biscuit stopped in before this even started at like 20 minutes before. He was in the Kiltz group also. And I appreciate you stopping by and saying hi. Well, it's just been being on with Dr. Kiltz. It's one of the few things that I enjoy doing on Sunday mornings besides coming in here and doing this here. I love listening to Dr. Kiltz Sunday morning. He has so much energy and he's just so rambunctious. I mean, he's crazy. But it's a good thing. It's a good crazy that he gets into. Hey Rick, it's nice to see you. Appreciate you coming in. It was nice being on with Dr. Kiltz with you this morning. He just fried some bacon for the week. We have a sale going on tomorrow here at our local store. It's a 1-day sale. The bacon that my wife and I like, it comes in 3-pound packs, and it's generally $21 for 3 pounds. Tomorrow it's going on sale for $16. So it's going to be a really good deal for us to get that here. They also have some steaks and some roasts that are going to be a lot cheaper. Like they're doing the rib roast for $9.99 a pound. So my wife is going first thing in the morning. She's going to pick up a couple of those. You're not crazy, just crazy adjacent Jester. Yeah, I understand that. That's crazy. Yeah, Dr. Kills isn't the only crazy one. I think we're all a little bit crazy, Rick. And doing the your heart attack burger and all that stuff. It's amazing what this diet does. So it's a lot of fun. You get meet a lot of new people, get to eat some great food because who doesn't like a ribeye? I know I do. And that's actually what my wife is going to be picking up tomorrow is that ribeyes because that's what we really need. Um, I showed the picture. I should pull it up here because I know I have it accessible on my pictures on here. Where did it go? I'm getting more and more pictures on this part here. I need to go through and clean some of these out. Oh, it's one of my favorite pictures. My before and after, this is about 1 year. Picture on the left, I was 340, 350 pounds. The picture on the right, on that picture, I'm 224 pounds. Since then, I've lost another 17 pounds. And that's just by eating meat. Do I eat vegetables? No. Do I eat fruits? No. I do use some seasonings now and then. Mostly it's just salt. I do use pepper on my eggs once in a while. Um, I use pepper on my brisket. But generally, I just eat salt with my food. I don't need everything else that goes with it. I don't need all the other junk. You just don't need it. This diet might turn you into a quack. It might, but it'll be a healthy quack. You have no stunning before and after pictures. Well, you have a stunning story to tell because you did this for a reason, Rick. You know, you did this because you didn't like the way your body was, and you were doing this just to, well, for a heart attack. And what happened? You went from a an average student to a straight A student. You grew, you filled out, you became a great adult, and look at you now. You don't look anything near your age. So it's amazing. Jessica says, I took before and after stool shots. Nobody wants to see those. So, yeah, that's. I actually had a buddy that used to do that. You get a text message and open up the picture on it. If that's what he was sending you, he was sending you a stool shot, and he would just do it randomly. As yeah, and Jeff says there's nothing wrong with being a quack. Yeah, I actually got kicked out of a doctor's office for telling the doctor that he was a quack. This was many years ago when I lived in the Twin Cities, and in the springtime, terrible allergies. This was back in the 1990s. I went to the clinic because May they're mowing lawns. My sinuses are just terrible. I can't breathe. I've had an irregular heartbeat all my life. It was in my medical records before I went in the military. It was in my records. It was in my records at the clinic I was in. The doctor I saw that day was somebody that was just filling in because they needed a doctor, and the regular doctor was out sick or whatever. He wanted to do an EKG and all this other testing, and because of the way my heart sounded. And I told him, it's in my chart. It's been like that. It's not an issue. I'm not doing that. All I need is the prescription for my allergy medication so I can breathe again. And he refused to listen to me. And I told him, listen, you blanking quack, that's not what I want. It wasn't a couple minutes later, I was being escorted out of the clinic. No prescription, no nothing, just kicked out. And the receptionist at that clinic was my wife. So, yay. It was just a wonderful day that day. Post-Crystal area, I was known as a smooth operator. Yeah. So, and how's everybody doing on X this morning? I say do have, there's about 5 people watching on X, but I don't ever see, I've only had one person that I can remember ever commenting from X, and that was Dave. Yeah. Dave is a guy that runs Keto Carnivore in Kingman, Arizona. It's actually a pretty cool bakery. It's a keto bakery. It's not a carnivore bakery. So they do have, they use almond flour and stuff like that. But it's like for my wife, it doesn't affect her blood sugars. It doesn't affect her healing her body. And she can have a cookie. She can have a brownie. And she can enjoy stuff like that every now and then. And they do ship wherever. So as long as you're in the US, they ship it. But it's a really cool bakery. And I really enjoyed some of the stuff that they get. Yeah, carnivores don't bake, we roast. And that reminds me is like this past summer, I hadn't been carnivore for a year. And I've been avoiding the sun for the last 5 years because every time I went out into the sun, I burned bad. And I didn't used to do that. But with my blood pressure being high at the time and some of the stuff that had gone on with when I was in AFib and a bunch of other stuff that went on, the medications I was being put on, some of the warnings on the medications were to avoid sunlight because you were going to burn. Well, after coming off of 5 blood pressure medications and finally being able to go out in the sun, last summer, I spent a lot of time out in the sun. You can't tell now because, North Dakota winter, and I look like the snow. But I didn't burn last year. I turned red. I did turn red twice, but it wasn't a burn. The next day, it was tan. I didn't peel. I didn't have burning skin. I didn't have blisters. I didn't have any of that. And it was actually really nice because I haven't seen no sunburn for me since 1983. And this last summer, I didn't have a sunburn. So it does help. Does it help everybody? I don't know. But I know eliminating seed oils really helped me out. And that's what I'm blaming is the seed oils. Celebrating the middle son's 22nd birthday today. No cake for you. Let's have a steak. Get yourself a big old ribeye and celebrate with a ribeye. And that's what I would recommend doing because that is one of the best things you could have. There's nothing wrong with celebrating with something like this. Right? Get a nice little ribeye, some butter on top, throw some shrimp on the side. And that's a delicious, amazing meal. And you see the big fat in here on the tip on the left side here. That's just, I don't trim, when I buy the rib roast, I don't trim the fat off of it. I still cook it. And yes, there's a part of that that's really hard and it's not so well to eat, but you can eat most of it. And there's just a little bit that I don't eat. But all the other fat that's on it, I've been eating all of that since, shortly after I started doing the carnivore diet. The fat that comes with it is probably the most important thing that you can get on it right now. So now, my mom right now, she's she's in the hospital. She had a bowel retraction or resection or whatever they call it. She had a chunk of her intestine pulled out because it was bad, and they sewed it back together, mended it. So she's in the hospital, and my wife is up there right now visiting her, and that's where I'll be going up there shortly to talk to her after I get done with this. And she'd been fasting because on Monday she had a colonoscopy. So before you have a colonoscopy, you have to fast for, it's like a day and a half or whatever it is. So she hasn't eaten anything since Saturday. She had a colonoscopy on Monday and then surgery on Monday night because of how bad her balls were. And she has been just having water and ice chips since her surgery. And then finally yesterday she got to have something to eat. And what did they give her? They gave her bone broth, which is really shocking, with Jell-O. And then that was actually Friday. And then yesterday she got soup, and I think she got tomato soup, and then she got coffee, she got ice cream. Everything that they were giving her is full of sugar. And she'd been fasting for over 5 days, and the first thing they pump her full of is sugars. Just the absolute wrong thing to give to them. And all the choices that they gave her to eat were horrendous for what they have. Nothing on there had any animal fat that was worth a damn, other than the bone broth to begin with. Absolutely terrible. Uncle Willie says probably going to have sardines and burger patties for myself. And that's not a bad thing either, because depending upon what sardines you have, some of them are really good. The Wild Planet sardines that I got at Costco not that long ago, man, I cannot believe how good those actually were. I really enjoyed them. The Wild Planet sardines with an extra virgin olive oil were some of the best ones that I've had in a long time. Oh, hey, what the heck? Let me look at my camera here. Yeah. All right. Now, when I was on with Dr. Kilt, I turned my sign off because I could only go to 720 for my resolution. And then this here gets all kind of fuzzy for that sign. So I turned that off before I went into the studio on that one because I couldn't go to the 1080. So now I can. But those sardines were absolutely amazing. And I could not believe how well they taste. The lightly smoked in extra virgin olive oil, it's actually extra virgin olive oil, but I didn't have any issues with it. So I do have to believe that it is. And let's see, did they come up here yet? No. Where did I save it to? Oh, yeah, it should have been in there. Yeah. Yeah, my computer's having issues again. See, usually when I listen to Dr. Kiltz in the morning, I do my prep for this so that I can there they are. So I can have pictures and video wherever I have in there. This Wild Planet, Wild Pacific sardines and extra virgin olive oil, lightly smoked. This says its net weight is 4.4 ounces. That includes the oil. If you actually look at it, it's like 3 point something ounces if you just have the sardines. So you have to watch how you're recording it. If you use all the olive oil, then you're doing the 4.4. But if not, then you have to adjust for that. Hey, good morning, John. Thank God I'm listening to something of reason. Well, thank you. Hey, were you in I didn't see you in the chat in Kilts this morning. this Sunday morning live. And Jojo, you just had 2 cans of King Oscar sardines for breakfast with MCT oil and a little mustard. That actually sounds really good. I ended up eating this morning 6 scrambled eggs. I got a new cast iron pan that I had to try out. I'd seasoned it 5 times with bacon grease, and I hadn't used it yet. I made ground beef in it last night, right before I went to my hockey game. And I didn't clean it out last night like I should have, so I had to heat it up and clean it this morning. And I was like, I might as well make my eggs in it too. And the eggs came out absolutely perfect. They didn't stick. Nothing stuck to it at all. Cleanup was so simple and easy. It was amazing. I love cast iron. But I'm going to have to try these wild plant sardines, because these come out and they're actually pretty good sized sardines. I want to try these. I want to roast them on the cast iron and fry them. I think that'd be really good. Uncle Willie says you mistakenly bought King Oscar Mediterranean style sardines last time. It has lots of spices, black olives, olive oil. It's delicious, but it gives you heartburn. Yeah, that is something that, since I've been on carnivore, one of the condiments that I continue to use is hot sauce. I will still use Frank's Red Hot. And I've never had an issue with it. The other day, I did. I put it on my pork rinds. When I eat pork rinds, I'll put some hot sauce on it because I eat the plain pork rinds, and it can get kind of boring eating just plain pork rinds. So add a drop or 2 of hot sauce to your pork rind, gives a little spice. And I did too. I had heartburn from the hot sauce the other day, and it was different. I haven't had heartburn since I started the carnivore diet until the other day when I had some from the hot sauce. So I haven't had any since. But I love Frank's Red Hot. I haven't had it from my buffalo wings. Maybe it's because there's a lot of fat in it too, a lot of butter that I make in it. You don't think you'd like the Mediterranean? Yuck. Yeah, I don't like the Mediterranean diet. It's just another way of saying the standard American diet with some other stuff in with it. It just doesn't work right. But the King Oscar Mediterranean style sardines have black olives. Huh. I might have to look at those and see. So I don't think I've ever seen the King Oscar black, the Mediterranean ones. That'd be something interesting. Oh, yeah, and of course I'm sitting here drinking my hot coffee, and my nose is starting to run again. I was actually lucky that it didn't do that while I was on with Dr. Kiltz. But then I was talking the whole time. Kiltz was talking, and everybody else was on there talking too, so that's always good. But I am out of coffee. What did I do? Let me see. I did do a video. It was a quick video yesterday. And does it come up at all? So this is just a quick 1-minute video. I want to try to see if I can show it on here or not. So it wouldn't let me do it yesterday. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to turn the sound off on that because you don't need to hear that. That was, you can hear the background noise. That was the microwave. That's just the way I like to do the pepper. I use a big container like that, and then I just put it on like this. Sorry for the messy stove. I didn't realize my son had cooked the night before, cooked steaks. And that's splatter from his steak cooking. And under my Blackstone press back here, that's the cast iron pan underneath that I just got. So that is what I cooked my eggs in this morning. And I had 6 eggs this morning. Really not a whole lot, but yesterday with these 6 eggs and then the 6 sausage that were on the next video here. Let me put that on here real quick too, see if I can get that one to play. Because I couldn't get either one of these to play on here yesterday. Same here. So I have these 6 breakfast sausage here, and then you see I use a spatula just a little bit just to make sure that what's sticking anywhere, and they weren't. A pretty good seasoning on that cast iron skillet. But that was my breakfast yesterday. It was absolutely amazing. And with that breakfast, I was not able to finish it. It's one of the things that I've had trouble with. Everybody talks about you eat until the food doesn't taste good anymore. And that's when the leptin kicks in and tells your body that you're full and that you are good and to stop eating. I generally don't get that signal. But I did yesterday. I had 4 of the eggs before the sausage, and I took a bite of the 5th one, and I'm like, it just doesn't taste right. It doesn't taste good. I decided, okay, well, that's the signal for me to stop eating because I finally got it. And I was actually pretty amazed that that happened. Oh, let me see. This is all stuff that I normally put in before I ever start the show, but I was a little preoccupied. But this is what I had yesterday for breakfast, and because I didn't think about this when I first started cooking my eggs, which I should have, but I did. The bottom one and the one to the left of it, they cooked a little more than I wanted to. They weren't quite as runny as what they normally would be, but they were still very good. But because I set up everything as I was cooking, it just sat on the skillet just a little bit longer than I wanted to. Jeff says not a fan of sardines. I really wasn't a fan of sardines for the longest time. Oh, what the heck? There. There's another thing I had trouble with yesterday too. When you move pictures from the stage, it wasn't removing them. I kept putting them back in there. Just shouldn't have been doing that. But going back to sardines, I've always been okay with sardines, and finding these Wild Planet sardines they're actually really good. The other cheap ones that you can buy at the grocery store that are just $1 or whatever, yeah, they're not as good. They're not the same quality. But if you find a good quality sardine, it actually tastes a lot different than the like the Beach Cliff or what's the other brands out there? I can't even think of them right now. But these Wild Planet ones taste a lot better than the. Haven't had any coffee since mid-January. You don't miss it anymore. You have warm salt water with creatine instead. That's actually not a bad idea, Uncle Willie. I really should get back to doing that. Is that the Cluck seasoning? The Pluck seasoning? No, that was just salt and pepper. I didn't put the Pluck seasoning on that. You saw that in the background, didn't you? The Pluck seasoning is actually really good. They're spicy, mild. That seasoning is really delicious. I do like that on my eggs. I did not put it on my eggs on that video. I did have it on there this morning, though. It is pretty good stuff. I do enjoy it. Yeah, let's see. What else do we have going on here? Yeah, I'm clicking through and trying to find stuff on here. So, oh yeah, got a new smoker. I've had it for a few weeks now, and I need to get out there and get some briskets thrown onto it. Actually, I think I have a pork butt I can grab out of the freezer and throw into it. I picked up an addition to my other smoker. I have a Pit Boss Austin XL, and you can buy an accessory smoker that attaches to the side. And I actually picked this up right here. This gives you another 700 inches of room to smoke on. And on the left side here is where the smoke and the heat come in, and then they go out the top. And you can adjust the flue on the top to put stuff in here, but it has a temperature gauge in there so that you can actually see what your temperature is. I want to throw a pork butt in there so it gets the offset smoke and the heat, unlike the direct heat from the Pit Boss, the way it normally does it on that. Yeah, JoJo says I actually like my sardines better by beating them up a little, by heating them up a little on the stove. Not a fan of them cold. That's not a bad idea. And I've seen people do that, and then sharing the pictures of them doing that, and I was like, that's a really good idea. I've never had the sardines at home when I was able to do something like that because I don't think my wife would appreciate the smell. Yep, heating them up. I've gotten used to watching this kind of stuff and catching the beating, heating typos because I do the same thing when I'm in chat. And it's like my wife, when she does a lot of texting, she does a lot of voice texting too. And you really have to watch how things are spilled on there and she doesn't. Do I have a workout routine? Daily movement counts as exercise. Other than just walking around work, I really don't have a workout routine. I do have a weighted vest that once it gets a little bit nicer out and it's not below freezing, I do want to walk with my weighted vest. The vest I have goes up to 40 pounds. I have walked on my treadmill a couple of times with it, and I've reduced the weight to 20 pounds because 40 pounds is quite heavy. And you can really feel the difference on that when you're walking around. Even inside the house, just sitting down with that extra weight on makes a huge difference. And the biggest thing I was surprised at, because I've lost 140 pounds since my heaviest, just throwing that 40-pound weight vest on makes a huge difference in how I feel and how my body feels. And the joint aches and pains and stuff that come back quickly just from adding that extra weight on there. I haven't had that problem with the at 20 pounds yet, so I've only walked on it twice at 20 pounds. Uh, but the path I do when I walk is like a mile and a half for one of them, and the other one is 3 miles. So it's it's going to be a fun walk to try it out with when I do start walking outside with it. 40 pounds is really uncomfortable. It is. It's amazing the how much it really feels on your body. So, and you use 20 pounds as well, and that seems to be a much easier weight to deal with. And mine just has the sand tubes that you can pull out. So I pulled out half of those. It's a better deal. Oh, but my sinuses are. I don't know if it's sinuses or if it's just from the hot and the cold and drinking the hot coffee again. And then all the talking. But my sinuses do start to run. So hold on for just 1 second. Oh, I hate doing that while I'm on here, but I don't like it when it feels like it's going to run and start dripping, and that's just nasty that way. So I know it's more of a condensation on there than anything. And generally, so far, it's all been clear. I know when I was eating the cottage cheese, when I was taking the antibiotic for my tooth, the antibiotic generally tears up my stomach really bad and gives me really bad diarrhea and stuff. I didn't have any of that when I took my antibiotic with the cottage cheese. I gained 6 pounds, which I knew I was going to gain some, and it's probably mostly water weight, but dairy has one purpose, and that's to make whatever animal is eating it fat. So I knew I was going to gain something. I just didn't know how much. I don't feel my clothes don't fit any different with a 6 pound difference, so I'm still good with it. And I know I'll lose it again. You have the vest with the steel plates in them? Yeah. I looked at it. I found this one that I ended up getting. I got it off of Amazon, and when I was looking at it before Christmas, it was actually quite expensive for the 40-pound vest. And when I looked at it again, it was mid-January, and the price was a quarter of what it was before Christmas. So I was like, okay, now that's more reasonable and more where I wanted it to be. So I did pick it up for that much cheaper price, and I'm glad I waited, because that would have really sucked to spend that much money on it and then find out later that it was coming in that much cheaper. Oh, let's see. So what's anybody else doing for their food today? Anybody having any special meals other than Uncle Willie having his sardines and for instead of a birthday cake? That's actually not a bad idea. Sardines and burgers. Definitely enjoy both of those. Burgers are a must. Oh, let's see. Yeah. Oh, you got some rain coming down there in Florida? Well, we had some snow here last night, Rick. It was not that much, but it was just enough to make the roads slick in places, which is never good. We were at a hockey game last night, and while we were at the game, we had a little bit of snow come through just south of where we're at. And we just got a dusting, not even a quarter of an inch. But just south of us here, they got up to 6 inches of snow. And it's typical North Dakota weather. Right now it's only 9 degrees, but it feels like it's 6 below. It hasn't rained there in weeks. Really, we haven't had much precipitation here in North Dakota where I'm at this winter at all. In fact, right before this last snow that we had last week, there was no snow on the ground in February, which is really, really unusual. Just south of us, we're north of Bismarck, the state capital, and I just saw this morning that the Bismarck overnight they got just about 6 inches of snow, just under it, and their normal precipitation for this time of year is like 50 to 60 inches of snow or whatever, and they're at 32. So yeah, we're about half of where we normally are for moisture this year. And Uncle Willie says he stopped the fish oil and CoQ10 supplements and replaced it with 2 cans of sardines daily. It's not a bad swap, and it probably ends up being cheaper too, and more nutrient dense, and then probably better off doing it that way too. I know I had prescription fish oil pills that were huge, And one of the biggest complaints that anybody ever had with those pills was you would burp up the fish oil, and it was just disgusting. So what the doctor would recommend is that you'd freeze them and you'd swallow them frozen, and then for whatever reason you didn't have that issue. I just stopped taking them because they're disgusting. Bacon and eggs soon, salmon patties later. That sounds delicious, Jeff. And then the last time I had salmon was I picked them up at Costco because they have the wild caught sockeye salmon at Costco, and you can look at the farm raised salmon and the wild caught salmon side by side, and you can see the huge difference in the color of the salmon and the size of it. The farm raised is much thicker and a lighter color than the wild caught. And just looking at that, I was like, yeah, that's why I don't want to buy the farm raised stuff, is because they're being fed duck food. They're not being fed the proper diet for salmon. They're being fed all kinds of garbage to make them fatten up so that they can be quickly harvested and sent out. So that's one of the things that happens when you turn to an agricultural style life, you know. And we have lakes and rivers around here that I could go fishing and I could catch fresh walleye, perch, get some northern pike. We call them slough sharks. They're still good eating. It's just they have a lot of bones, and that wide bone's a pain in the ass to get out. But there's all kinds of fish that you can catch in the rivers and the lakes out here, and so we still can have fish, and it can be fresh fish too. But getting the salmon from Costco or any of the stores, as long as it's wild caught, it looks a lot different. It looks a lot better. I can't speak for the taste because since I went carnivore, I haven't bought any of the other stuff. So I've just tried paying attention. That's one of the first things I learned, was that the salmon is not as good. You tried canned salmon. It was disgusting. Canned salmon I'd rather eat sardines than canned salmon. I agree with you, Uncle Willie. The canned salmon just doesn't have the right taste to it, and never has. Canned salmon, eggs, pork, rinds, yep. Then you make them into a patty. Now, do you air fry them or do you pan fry them in butter or tallow? The last time I made this for my wife, and basically the same thing with some canned salmon, eggs, pork rind crumbs, some panko, and I air fried it, and she really enjoyed it. Jojo says, for dinner you're having Mitch's Choppal sandwich burger, one of your favorite meals. That's actually not a bad idea. Choppals are really nice. And Rick says, I see a few YouTubers use LED fake neon strips like you have. Was it hard to make my sign? Actually, I got that as a gift from my son-in-law for Christmas. He saw it on some site where he found a link, and he got that for me for Christmas. So I don't even have an idea where it came from. It showed up early. It was one of those things that he ordered, forgot about, and then it showed up, and there was never a notification that it was even being shipped. But I thought it was actually pretty cool. I really like it. Lake perch is favorite. Yeah, having fresh perch is really cool. But going back to the slide, it comes with a little remote, and it's got a lot of different settings. This is at just 10% brightness right now. That's 100%. So it adds a lot of light to the room, and then it can go different modes too. So you can, strobe out and all kinds of weird stuff on this here. I gotta find back to where the original just being on is. There. But you could strobe it, have it come off and on, go high and low. If it was like further back, but my desk was further along the other wall, it was a distance. It might be something that you could have flicker with the light on it. Fried on the Blackstone and bacon fat. Yeah. Actually, not bad. Yeah, I do have the electric Blackstone. I have a gas Blackstone outside too. I do like cooking on the Blackstone grills. They are really nice to cook on. Used to make neon signs. One day you'll build one broken beer sign that you have. That's actually a heck of a skill to have, is to be able to make stuff like the neon signs. That'd be pretty cool. I'm surprised you don't have one, Rick, sitting behind you saying Charger Mopar. That'd be pretty cool. I don't think I even have I don't even I would find it on my phone right now. Because like you, Rick, I like old cars. And I'm just assuming that because you have Charger Mopar that you like old cars. I've got a 68 Camaro. Still has the original 327. Still has the original 2-speed power glide transmission. So it's one of those things I love to be able to work on when I get the chance to and stuff. And my son wants to work on it with me and restore it so that he can have it and drive it. And we might do that sometime. And Terry, you didn't join the weekend, but hubby decided to take you on a road trip to Pittsburgh. You'll connect next weekend. Picked up lots of sardines. Awesome. Hey, life happens. This week I had planned on making a couple of videos and putting videos out, but my mom ended up in the hospital having surgery. So the time that I would normally spend here at night doing a video, I spent with my mom and stuff. So it's life happens. So you have to do what you have to do. And being treated to a trip to Pittsburgh, can't pass that up. You have neon light strips that you made in 1986 in the bedroom that they still work. That's pretty cool, right? It's got to be a lot better than having the LED stuff that, like the LED light strips from Philips Hue, or there's a bunch of other different brands out there now where you can control them. And the neon's got to be a better way to go than all the LED stuff. But this is actually pretty cool. I really like that my son-in-law got that for me. That was pretty cool. And it's going to sit up there and shine bright. So now I keep closing that window up. You have no LED lights in your home? We actually have quite a few LEDs in our house. It's hard to find the incandescent bulbs anymore. Everything is going to the LED, and they need to come back with the better light. I, if they can make the incandescents last longer so that they don't burn out so quick, I would rather have those. Oh, let's see here. For those of you that it's it's almost that time. After this meeting, I've been in it for 55 minutes, and Larry is just going live now. on his, and that's at Carnivore Quest. Now, I usually am in the chats with this group here, and I come in and talk with them. There's a lot of good people in this. Larry's been a big part of my success in carnivore because the group that he has every day, or he does Wednesday through Sunday now, is the morning meeting. And that morning meeting has helped keep me accountable and has helped me learn from other people's mistakes. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about the carnivore communities that we have out here right now. We can learn from other people's mistakes. We can listen to what other people have going on with their lives and learn that just because it's something that's worked for somebody or just because this works for you, it might not work for somebody else. But I can also learn that if I go out and I do this, what are the consequences? What can happen? People freely share their errors and their victories in a lot of these groups and a lot of these chats. So go out there and hang out and take the time, read the comments, live in the comments. These comments sections in the chats like this make a tremendous difference in how people feel. Having the community to be able to ask important questions like, hey, if I eat this, will this work for me? Well, and the biggest thing is with everybody, it's your own experiment on yourself. But in general, this is what works. Now you're picking Rick's bedroom with picturing Rick's bedroom with neon lights, rotating bed and shade carpet. You're thinking Austin Powers and Rick. That would be, I can just see it too. The shade carpet. Yeah. That's just neon light strips in the bedroom. I can just see that too. Well, thanks, Uncle Willie. Now you got that picture stuck in my head. That's funny. So, do you have the shag carpet going on in there? And the neon lights? That's actually pretty cool. All right. Well, it's been just about an hour. I do have my mom to go see, so I'm going to call it early just a little bit. I did put the link in here. Oh, you can see the neon in some of your lives. I'm going to have to look a little bit harder next time, Rick. So I do come in your Saturday morning lives. I come in there and I listen, and I'll chat a little bit in there too while I'm getting stuff ready for my Saturday morning lives. But I do come into yours and hang out in there and talk with people too. It's one of the other great communities to come into. Is there's so many people on there that it's actually really nice. But I'm gonna have to pay more attention and see if I can see the neon in there. But y'all have a great day. I'm gonna pop in on Larry's live. Put that there. That's in the chat. So it should be a clickable link. You can click on that and go into Carnivore Quest and hang out with Larry and the Carnivore Quest crew. Have another amazing accountability meeting, and have a great weekend, everybody. And we'll see you next Saturday and talk to you guys in the chats.